Welcome to Sober Coffee, a weekly coffee chat sharing experience, strength, and hope for anyone on the sober road to recovery. You can download Sober Coffee weekly on all podcast platforms and check us out on Instagram at Sober.Coffee Podcast and on Twitter at Sober Coffee Pod. To learn more about us and to help support these sessions, visit online at Sober.Coffee. Here are your hosts, two guys on their own path to recovery, Mike and Glenn. Let's join them at the coffee shop.
Glenn.
Like you, we are on that sober path, aren't we, brother?
Did you bring your toolbox?
You know what? I carry it, around my waist.
All right, you got to open it up because we got more stuff for you today in the toolbox.
Oh man, I love new tools.
Yeah.
In fact, I was doing a home deck this summer, and I love doing projects because I always buy a new tool. I got a hammer drill, and I got a sawzall.
Mm-hmm. That's very impressive. Can I tell you about my toolbox? You unlatch it, you open it up, and it's got my brother's phone number in it.
Oh, dude, that's awesome.
That's my toolbox.
You know what? That's what we do in AA, man. We reach out to others, don't we?
That's right.
We have our own phone book of tools, don't we?
Yeah.
I love it.
So a couple housekeeping items. Check out the website if you haven't already, sober.coffee.
You mean the new, updated, sexy-looking website?
Well, it depends. I mean, if you're listening to this in 2025, then it's not so new.
All right, good point.
Yeah, we're in Cyberville now, man. We're Podcastville.
So it's
time is irrelevant.
That's right. 2022, we got a new website.
That's right.
How's that?
That's right. All right, very good.
All right,
so
spank me.
Yeah. So today we got Table for Three. We got a guest with us today.
Love Table for Three.
Yeah, right. So talking about tools, we've got Giuseppe on with us today. Did I say that right, Giuseppe?
Yes, you did. Giuseppe. It depends on what part of Italy you're from. But yeah, you got that right.
So you're an Italian Canadian.
I'm from the Italian market in Philadelphia.
Canadian, yes.
Wow, that's fantastic. Yeah, we're international, I guess, because you're joining us from where? Vancouver?
Yeah, Vancouver area. I come from a community called New West that's got the nickname New West Recovery. It's one of Canada's largest recovery communities.
Wow.
Man, that's awesome. That's awesome. So we met Giuseppe. We connected through Giuseppe through a recent guest that we have, Alexis.
Yes.
And Alexis left us a voicemail on our Instagram account that just kind of really touched us. And we connected and we heard her story of experience, strength, and hope. And she's like, hey, you got to talk to Giuseppe. He's doing some great stuff in recovery, and he's got some good tools. So just, really great to have you.
Yeah. So
Thanks for bringing me.
Absolutely. I thought we'd start out with a little disclaimer and a little qualifier. So you are one of us. You are on the road to recovery, and
Sober path.
And I'm assuming today was a success for you. And so
just for today.
Yeah, just for today. That's all I'm shooting for, just for today. And I think I got a pretty good shot in the sober coffee here. So. Yeah, so tell us a little bit about your background, and then I can't wait to hear about the stuff that you got going on right now that we might get involved in.
Yeah, like many people that are probably listening to your podcast, my life was just absolute chaos. I started off, just being your regular substance user, and I had a problem when I started drinking in high school, and I didn't do the therapy thing, I didn't do the counseling thing. I worked in clubs. For a long time. I had nightclubs when I was pretty young, so it was okay for me to be drunk and high 7 days a week, for 10 years.
Part of the job.
And if you would have told me it was a problem, I would have you wouldn't have been in my life any longer.
Mm-hmm.
I partied and did all this in the Windsor, Detroit area. So, dollar drink nights and cigarettes, and it was just a great time. And fast forward, life got really chaotic. I think if I didn't have an addiction, I probably would have been pretty successful in the hospitality industry. But because of my addiction and some really bad choices, I really screwed my life up. And basically I had to do that geographical change, and I moved. And I didn't know. I brought my addiction with me, and I ended up in Vancouver. And, I thought it was fancy because I drank martinis and did, this type of drug and that kind of drug. And I was cool. And I remember the first time I saw the downtown east side of Vancouver, I thought, how disgusting, and how could this have happened? And, fast forward a couple of years later, being in a city with more drugs, I ended up being that guy buying drugs in the alley and kind of homeless and being that person that I was disgusted with when I saw years ago, and my life changed. I ended up getting caught doing drugs at work. It was a pretty decent job. They told me that I had to go to rehab. I remember it vividly because I was like, I'm going to sue you because how dare
Yeah,
you? Like,
right.
I was so out of my
Oh man, I
mind. I'm
remember
using
that.
drugs.
Yeah.
And, at my desk, getting caught and thinking, how dare you? And my boss was 25 years sober.
Hmm.
I had no idea. She broke her anonymity, got me on a path to recovery. I wish it was, from the day one I had this spiritual experience, but I ended up relapsing and finding out what the treatment industry was all about. And long story short, I eventually got it after a couple sets of steps and so forth. And I decided to not just get clean and disappear. I decided to get clean and get back and be part of. And I mean, if you just get back at the home group level, that's awesome. But I wanted to do a bit more than that, and so I got
Are
involved.
you an overachiever?
Yeah, man, all
That's
the way,
awesome.
all the way, and I love it. It keeps me going, and I just want to be part of. And I really believe in making recovery fun, and really believe that there's no solution in figuring out why. There's only a solution in how I can make my life better and want to be part of it. And that's how I live every day.
Yeah, you know what I love about your story is you didn't go through and then I crashed my car drunk log. You brought me to a place that I was at as well emotionally, where it was done. I was done. I was spent, and I mean those
Yeah.
aren't your words. This is just the way I heard your story, but you came to a realization that there was a better way. But what totally stokes me is the fact that you've taken that now and you made it part of your life to pass it on, and that's what Glenn and I are trying to do. We're not trying to conquer the world. We don't do this for commercial gain. We're just here because it's working for us, and so we're doing our little part. But you're doing some big parts there. Tell me about the app a little bit.
Yeah, one of the many hats I wear is trying to use technology to improve the lives of people in recovery and connect us all. Life's changed, and using digital software can make that better for us. So, Better App was created in a way. I work in a treatment center. We're like, hey, what can we do to keep our alumni connected? And so we decided to go into the app industry. Where I work for a nonprofit called Last Door Recovery Society that does a lot of outreach and communication.
Say that again a little slower.
Last Door Recovery Society. It's a treatment center for youth and adults. Been around for 40 years.
Wow.
Nonprofit, youth and adults, families. It's a beautiful place to work. They give me the freedom to do some pretty crazy stuff. They're like, you're crazy. You're not going anywhere. Let's use this energy. And I'm like, okay, let's
Right, I love it. Hey, you know what? I'm going to back up
do
for
this.
a second. First of
So
all,
I do it. And so we decided to create.
go ahead. I think we broke up there a little bit, but Better App. I love the brand. I mean, how did you get Better App? That's fantastic.
Well, we just want to make people feel better, and the whole concept of Better App is it's about unity. There's so many different fellowships and so many pathways to recovery.
Mhm.
We wanted to put them all in one place so they could communicate with each other, and no one's better. This program's not better. Oh, go to AA, go to NA. It's like, go to where you want and let's all just be friends. But another piece was the creation of a safety net. And this happened to me when I relapsed. I thought, okay, well, I have to leave the recovery community. I'm not part of it anymore. And then, I have sponsees or that relapse. It's like, how do we stay connected? But with this overdose crisis, I mean, you have over 100,000 people dying in the States a year. We had 25,000 people die since 2017, since our pandemic started. How do we save lives using a recovery support tool? Because I find it's either a recovery app or it's a harm reduction app. I'm like, why can't we have both in one place? And so a story happened for me where a friend of mine, a young kid, died. And what happened was he relapsed. We reached out to him. We had breakfast with him. And then he overdosed a couple of days later. And a lot of the conversation was, I don't feel like I'm part of recovery anymore. And it's like, how can we change that? And that's how Safety Net got created on Better App. It's a digital spotter system where I could have told Tristan, like, hey, if you're going to use, don't use alone. Just ping me on the app and let me know that you're going to use. and it's there's an alarm system on there where if the person inhaling or smoking their drug doesn't shut off their timer, you get an alert that, hey, Tristan might be unconscious, and to call paramedics, and you have their address because you accepted it in a chat. And it's not a cure for the overdose crisis. It's not going to solve the overdose crisis. It's like you started your show off. It's just another tool that if your sponsee relapses, maybe I can't connect with you today on step work, but maybe I can help save your life today so you can get inspired, hopefully, to join recovery again. And I think the crisis isn't just fentanyl. The crisis is the disunity in healthcare. The crisis is you're either harm reduction or you're abstinence, or you do the steps or die, or do harm reduction or die. That all needs to disappear. We all just need to get along. Yeah, obviously, it's meet people where they're at and carry them forward. I don't believe in just, saying, here, this is your life and take medication forever because you have no hope. I believe like, hey, let's keep you going, but there's hope. Anybody can find recovery. The idea that once an addict, always an addict, I thought got squashed a long time ago. It's so prevalent in today's healthcare industry where, we're just pharmacologizing, people that have addiction issues without even thinking about how can we prevent youth from becoming addicts and becoming alcoholics.
Right. So I am on the app. I am Glenn H on the app. Okay. I got my Sober AF t-shirt on in my pick. So how many people are on the app today?
Sure. So we launched the app a couple of weeks ago at an event. It's our relaunch of the app. It got created a while ago, and then we put it on hold. We're like, this needs more. And so we added a bunch more features to it that I'll let you share. We've had over 2,000 downloads in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, that's great.
So that's pretty exciting. And we're just starting off with a huge campaign like this show, telling people about it. There's really no other global overdose prevention tool. You can use this in New York, Florida, Italy, France, wherever you're going. You can volunteer to be a safety net, and you can volunteer to be a digital spotter. And maybe you've got a kid in the basement using drugs. So it's not just for people that are in recovery. When you create a profile, it states 3 categories. I'm a person in recovery, I'm a person who uses drugs, or I'm a recovery ally. And that way moms and dads and wives can be part of this as well. It's all about building recovery capital. So as soon as you create a profile, you do a recovery capital assessment. And a lot of people are like, oh, what the heck is that? And that's the whole point. We want people in recovery to start knowing what recovery capital is. Do you know what your strengths are? Do you know what your barriers are? Do you know how to build your recovery capital? And most people won't have a clue, but we've been doing it forever. This is just a nice evidence-based way of measuring where you're at in life. And if you're reducing your recovery capital, your friends will know and be like, hey, is everything okay? And all that kind of stuff before you end up in detox again. We're really good at figuring out how to fix you when you screw everything up. We got to get really good at helping you before you screw everything up. And recovery capital is a good indicator of how to do that. Some of the ways to build recovery capital, you can create your own plans and goals. And activities.
So that's where, I'm a numbers guy, right? I mean, I'm in business. I'm a numbers guy. So the first thing that I want to do is build my recovery capital, right? So, I'm in the hundreds today, and the way I'm learning it, because I'm toying around with it and I'm really starting to get involved, but you got to be active on the app, right?
You got to be on it every day, make friends, just having conversations about recovery, doing your journal, doing your step work gets you points. There's step work in there, digitized step work, and you get points for that. You can add your sponsor and share your step work digitally so they can see it and give you real-time input. And all of that gets you points. Every time you participate in doing your assessment, you get points. And there's a lot of research out there that shows people that do, I call it reward therapy. So you get points in the leaderboard.
Well, I think the dopamine. I think the dopamine kids.
I think Kohl's has the market cornered on that.
Yeah,
when you start reward money.
Points,
yeah, right.
But so we were talking in a different in a different coffee shop. We were just chatting about people in early sobriety. They have so much time on their hands, right? Yeah. And it's a good way for them to jump in and engage. And I've enjoyed starting to get to use it. I'm going to look forward to, getting use it some more. And Mikey will have you download it.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
we'll also put it up on the website.
Yeah, we'll put a link to it on our in the resource room for certain.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah,
so
it's free. There's no charge. It's
here's the thing. You talked about Unity, and so just to be clear, this isn't a 12-step tool. This is a
Smart Brain,
sobriety
Light
tool.
Brain. It's unity amongst all of us.
I love it.
Yep.
Unity amongst all of us. Like we're never going to get over this overdose crisis. I like to call it an addiction crisis in silos. We never will. And the only way we're going to get through this is if we actually all really, really believe that people have a choice in their recovery journey and they should be offered that choice.
Yeah, there's a section for speaker tapes. There's
15,000 speaker
that's
tapes.
amazing.
You know which ones I love the best? I love the Al-Anon speaker tapes. I never knew I would love listening to a wife of an alcoholic sharing the story.
Wow, yeah.
You've
never heard my wife talk. Oh boy,
I love
the
them. They're great stories. You can do a live speaker meeting. You just go to the recovery rooms. There's a marathon meeting, 24-hour marathon.
Wow, that's loaded.
So do you have a website?
Yeah. I would do one quick thing.
Yeah.
You can finally stream your home group live with no Zoom codes.
Oh.
You find your home group, you join your home group, you go live right at the podium.
No Zoom crashers.
Your Zoom gets streamed
awesome.
Live automatically.
That's awesome.
www.betterapp.ca. If you're in your app store, you just go Better My Recovery app. And you'll find it in the Apple Store or the Play Store. That's Better My Recovery app.
We'll have a link in our resource room as well.
Yeah.
Great, Giuseppe. Hey, it's very great to have you
best.
jump on with us, man. Great to meet you. Certainly appreciate it. Alexis making the introduction.
Yeah.
And we look forward to digging in. We welcome our listeners to download it and start kicking the tires.
Yeah,
start earning those points.
We'll check in with you in a couple months.
Yeah, if you get a chance, come to BC for Recovery Day. It's an event like you've never seen before. 50,000 people this year, September 10th.
Website?
recoverydaybc.com.
You're the best. Thank you.
Awesome.
Have
All
a
right,
great day,
Giuseppe.
man.
Take care. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
man. All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us for today's coffee chat. To contact the show, email us at podcast@sober.coffee. If you need immediate help, the AA hotline is 800-839-1686. The National Suicide Prevention Hotline is 800-273-8255. Remember, Mike and Glenn are sharing their own journey on the path to recovery. Any suggestions, medical or otherwise, are their own experiences and should not be viewed as professional advice. See you next week, and remember, there is a solution.